Check it out, everyone. We always get these areas with groundwater. See it leaking out, and it just freezes. It gets thicker and thicker. I love that noise. Isn't that cool? I just drove through the water, and it instantly freezes to the tire because it's so cold out, and then it picks up gravel and throws it up inside the wheel wells. All right, everyone. I just got out of the vehicle. It's like 5 degrees. And I had to give my door a big push. Driving through some puddles earlier, it was hard to open the car door. Can you see the glimmering in the air? There's a slight breeze, and it's knocking the frost off the tree branches. It looks really nice. I stopped here to show you this groundwater activity. This water here was never up in the road. There's like a spring popping up here in the road. That's why it's all icy here where it's elevated. There is a culvert pipe here. That is really cool. Look at all the slime down in there. Really cool. That culvert's good. Look at this. See how it's like slushy? It can't really freeze all the way. Hear all that noise? They're logging not too far away. That is so cool, right? It's slush. It's having trouble freezing because this is where it's coming out of the ground all warm. Very satisfying to drive through this. You drive through this and it makes your tire wet. So when you pull out of it, it kind of freezes instantly. Like it's tacky, like fresh paint. Gravel sticks to it and throws it everywhere. I love this. Look at this slush. Despite it being so cold, it just cannot freeze solid. It just continues to leak like this for quite a while. Alright, everyone, I may say that that's really fun to drive through, which it is, but sometimes when it's really cold out, okay, for example, the road sometimes freezes and then that water can't get out. Or sometimes the road freezes, then we get a rainstorm, it doesn't get a chance to thaw out the road, then the water underground becomes active. Then it gets cold again, it has no way to get out, so it causes frost heaves sometimes in these unpaved roads. Underground. Sometimes it'll lift it up, there'll be a big crack, and there's a big crack in the road where it lifted up, and there's suddenly a big abrupt bump. But sometimes there's not. It just lifts up all evenly like a big hump. You don't even feel it going over it. But the problem is, in the spring, when that starts to melt, all that ice building up underneath the road, it's like an invisible hazard. You can just fall right into it. It's like a mud pit with a dry road over the top of it. Happened to me once. Here comes a log truck. This guy's gonna make a gigantic cloud of dust. I can see it behind him, a giant cloud. All right. Slowing down, pulling over. This is one of those oversized loads. You see how much it's overhanging the wheelbase of the trailer? Here it comes. They're doing a lot of logging out here lately. Awesome. And there's blinding conditions for about a minute. On roads like this, you always gotta leave like a minute gap between the vehicles because you just can't see. And it's so bad for your air intake. Every time a big truck like that goes by, I always close my air intake temporarily to try to save the filter a little bit. I remember that when I first started doing this kind of stuff out here, I was really paranoid about changing my filters as a result of this, and I never noticed any MPG drop despite the filters being really dirty. So you know what? I stopped doing it so often. I did it like once a year. But then once I did it, I noticed a giant difference with the air conditioning. It was barely blowing. It was so jammed up, that filter. Now you see the kind of dust you make. I'm also making a giant cloud like that behind me. I'm now traveling 45 miles an hour. It's a pretty big cloud. And anytime I pass somebody on the side of the road walking especially, or someone just in their vehicle, I always slow it down to like 10 so I'm not making a big cloud around them. It's just a nice thing to do because I really hate that myself. If I'm out there and there's a massive cloud, fortunately, most people have the decency to slow down like that because they know they're creating a blinding cloud behind them. See what that guy's doing right there? Breaking up shale rock on the edge right there, and they're going to use that, probably throw it in a dump truck and spread it on the road, because it is just completely unfeasible to truck gravel out here. We're so deep in the middle of nowhere. It's a couple-hour drive before we can even get to a paved road. So that's where they get it, shale rock and stuff. See right there, it looks like they just dumped a bunch of piles of the shale rock. That's probably the truck that's going back and forth with the shale rock. Wow, look at all this slushy, icy mess. This is all groundwater. That's why it's still wet despite it being so cold out. It's seeping up out of the road right now. But it looks like back there they're about to replace a culvert pipe, and they're going to use all that shale to put over the culvert pipe, thicken up the road so it doesn't get crushed when the road turns to mud in the spring thaw. Now you see, these roads are very active with logging right now, so we don't really have to worry about the ice. They spread gravel over the top of it, so it's not that slippery. Brake check, we're not sliding at all. We don't even need chains. And these icy spots are very isolated. We go around the corner, it's most likely going to be gone. Well, at least we got a spot to put two of the wheels. And it's going to disappear. I know it is around one of these corners. Yeah, ice is already gone. All the shady corners are icy, but wherever the sun hits, it's pretty good driving right now. I was just going to get out to show you guys something, but there's a big log truck coming, so I better stay here for the time being. It's going to be dusty. These roads are so dusty, I can't believe it for December. Usually they're snow covered now, but it's been a dry year, and yeah, very dusty. My dashboard, there's so much dust, it's floating in the air. It's even hard to breathe sometimes. All right, good. This truck's going by me slowly. Yeah, and that guy slowed down just so he wouldn't blast me with dust. Very nice of him. Some of those truck drivers will go by you at 50 miles an hour and just blast you with dust. You're filthy. You feel so gross. Okay, at first I thought he was slowing down because he didn't have much space. That's not the case. There was at least 5 feet of space between the vehicles. There was one time a guy went blasting by me with like 2 feet. It was so scary. But I got out right here because I wanted to show you something that can happen a lot of times in the winter out here. You see the groundwater trickling out into the drainage ditch? It trickles out here and it keeps hardening. Eventually throughout the winter, it's going to fill in the whole ditch and it starts coming into the road. And it really becomes a hazard at that point. Is this even solid? Nope. See? It's kind of slushy. It's like kind of frozen. See what I mean? Oh, wow, this is fun. I love this kind of stuff. It can't freeze all the way, despite it being in single-digit temperatures all day, and it going down into the negatives every night lately, because it's coming out of the warm ground like little geysers. Eventually, when it piles up enough, you know, because it can't heat up a giant pile forever, eventually it'll freeze. And that can actually make it more dangerous because it stays underground and it can more get under the road, create frost heaves and stuff. It's actually worse in some cases. It's really cold out, but yet it's still flowing. This is the first time ever experiencing this much dust in the middle of, or it's the start of winter. Never seen this before in the winter. Usually the summer, it's hot out, the roads dry out really fast. It's not abnormally dry right now. It's abnormal that it's been mostly warm recently and not a lot of snow, but we have been getting a lot of rain. Roads like this can be a mud hole one day, and then a couple hours later, if you get a good amount of sun, it's a dust storm. Give it a couple days of sun, there's like silt all over the road. One time it was so bad, there was like 3 inches of it. You get out, it's like you're walking on the moon. It makes big puffs as you're walking around. Driving through that, it's horrible. It gets in the vehicle. You have to wash every nook and cranny. And even after you change the filters on your vehicle, anytime you open or shut the damper that sucks air in or recirculates it, every time it moves, it loosens it up. Even if you haven't been off-road in a month, you can still smell it briefly, the dust in the air, just by that thing moving and knocking some of it loose. Yeah, there's dust in nooks and crannies it's never going to come out of in this vehicle. So every time I get home, I just take a wet towel, wipe down every surface inside, clean the windows, give it a quick spray off. In the summertime, I'll wax it and all that kind of stuff. You ever hear that product called Shine Armor? They used to have commercials for it online or on the TV. I bought that once just to see how it works. First off, when you open it, it smells really sweet, like berries. It smells like something that would attract the bear. It's weird they made it smell so nice. Anyways, it wears off in about 2 weeks if it rains a couple times. But the advantage of it over normal wax that I have found is spray it on right before you go off-road. You get back a week later, spray the car off with the hose, it all comes off. You don't even have to scrub the dirt off. Big icy mess. Pretty slippery. Couldn't tell if that was a frost heave or an overflowing culvert. That is cool. You saw that truck with all the solar panels? Alright everyone, just like I mentioned, right here is caused by an ice dam. Let me get out and show you. It's so dusty out. Every time you open the doors on the vehicle, I try not to do it because a bunch of dust just falls in on you. Look at this, all hollow. I can't break it. But I'm definitely going to drive through it. That'll be fun. Anyways, it looks like the water kind of left here. But I think that this is either caused by a clog or a ice dam in the culvert. I'm thinking it's an ice dam. Maybe it's not, but we're definitely going to stop up there in about 100 feet, which is 100% an ice dam. So the culvert entrance is here somewhere. I don't know how far down this goes, so I don't want to just walk there. That is solid. Heard that? Oh, wow. We're going to get in there. Let me get a good foothold so I don't fall in. Wish I had something to break it with. Like this rock. Can I get that free? Nope. Can I get any of these rocks free? I can't find any big rocks. There we go. Wasn't sure how deep that was. All right, there's water in there. Whoop. All right, there's the entrance to the culvert. Is there any blockage? Zero blockage. Gotta rinse off my feet. Zero blockage. So, if it's on this end, there's probably an ice dam that caused that to back up. Or the pipes collapsed. Trying to figure out where the pipe comes over. I do see water trickling underneath this ice. That ice is enough insulation from the cold where it's not freezing up. Something was holding this up, all this water at one point into the road. It froze and the water went away. Maybe there was very active groundwater keeping it here, like kind of acting like a retention pond. It froze, the groundwater reduced a lot to the flow you see now. But I think that culvert's just not installed straight. Don't see an ice dam on the end of it, and there's no clog there. But there's definitely an ice dam up there I'm going to show you. Alright, window down so you can hear the awesome cracking. Gonna keep two wheels off the ice so there's no chance of slipping into that ditch and smashing through. Oh, here we go. Oh yeah, I love doing that. Let's get out and look now. That was fun. Look at that. Look how fine that is. Look at the nice fine powder it made. That's deep. Alright, right down the road like I mentioned. Here we go with more. Let's drive through it again. This isn't as fun because we can't fall into it. It's solid. Alright, now here's why this one is solid. There is no ice dam at all blocking the culvert. You can see a little bit of flow underneath the ice. But what caused this is leaking groundwater. Leaking groundwater will keep just building up and building up over itself if you have enough cold weather, and it kind of goes into the road. Remember what that example I showed earlier where I showed it's just going to keep piling up until it goes in the road where that ditch is? That's because it's coming from a high point, you know? It's just going to keep going over it. But in a case like this, once it gets thick enough, that's now insulation. It melts the bottom into a cavity where the water moves. I love cold weather because you get to have fun with ice and stuff that you usually wouldn't be able to. Right now it's only 8 degrees out. It didn't really warm up today, even with the full sun. It's going to be down way below zero again tonight, I bet. The only thing I don't like about this kind of weather is it's very cold if you don't wear gloves. Just being outside for a minute makes your fingers numb. Alright, going across a big bridge. The lake is starting to freeze. But there's still more than half of it's open water still. That's not going to be there for long. That's going to freeze over this week. I know it will. It's going to be too cold. That ice is expanding as we were talking. It's so cold out. Alright, I just tried down this road here and it's just too icy. I don't even want to go down it. I'm not going to put chains on or anything. I don't think it's worth it. Definitely not. Back out of here. That road's not plowed, and because it's not plowed, it means everyone else who went around that snowbank packed the snow down so it couldn't melt when the sun came out. So it's really bad. This dust is getting bad because it comes in through the cracks in the doors sometimes when it's really bad, and it makes you hard to breathe. I just turned around because I wanted to stop here, This is a really big frost heave. It looks like the sun, despite it being really cold, is starting to eat away at part of it. But I want to show you how high it's building itself up. It's like a little volcano. First off, getting out of the vehicle, I didn't realize that I'm actually on top of it right now. It's just dirty from all the dust. But if you look here, see all these little holes and stuff, it kind of falling apart. This is the sun's power. It's kind of deteriorating it, but it'll recover as soon as it gets dark out. It's still in the single digits, but yet the sun has enough power to do this. See how it just keeps piling over itself? It's very wet. It's kind of slushy like before. Look at it, you can even see it trickling if you look really carefully. Very slippery because I'm on a hill and it's wet ice. Got to be careful. But I just wanted to show you up at the top of it here. Look at that. Here's a better angle. You see it's starting out of here and it only trickles so far until it freezes. Freezes over that, freezes over that, freezes over that. The thickest part, you probably got 8 inches of ice there. And it's just going to keep getting bigger and bigger until eventually it's tall enough where the cold can just kind of block it and shut it off for a while. A lot of times it might still be active, pumping underneath. That's when it starts lifting up the road once it's been cold out for a while. You see, out on roads like this that aren't paved, this is only a problem really in the winter and the spring. As soon as summer comes along and these roads begin to dry out, it's not as big of a problem anymore. If this road was paved, it would be a disaster, because if the road was paved, all that ice there would be underneath the asphalt, pushing it up, making a very hazardous bump in the road. Yes, that right there is a hazardous bump, especially being around that corner, but you shouldn't be driving like a maniac out here. I've been on some roads, paved roads, with frost heaves so big, you just go off them like a little ramp. It's amazing that the town didn't mark it with cones or something. And it's been so hard, you hit the stop blocks. You drive over it so fast. Some of them are scary. But then there's other ones that don't make a big abrupt bump. It's more like it rocks you back and forth going over them. And a lot of those ones, when it melts, the road settles back down without any attention or maintenance. All right, here is some really awesome groundwater seeping out. Look at this. Look how much flow this has. It's trickling all the way down the road. As soon as the sun goes down, this is all gonna freeze. Then tomorrow, when the sun comes out, it'll start flowing again, making another layer, another layer. This is actually starting to freeze up already because the sun angle is getting low. That one's really active. A lot of water coming out. I just stopped right here because this is an awesome demonstration. See this groundwater flowing here? It's completely covered in dust from traffic going by. See how dirty that is? So you can actually see the progress over the days. See how really filthy this is? Look at this. This was another day. This might be 2 different days, maybe the same day, but definitely a different day than this. See how it's cleaner? This maybe was yesterday, maybe the day before. You walk up here, go into another day. This looks like earlier today. See how it's very, very clean, and you can tell it just hardened. You walk up the road a little more, and you can still see where it's trickling. Still a little bit of trickling. That'll be sure to freeze up. If you have a warmer day, it'll go over all of it again. Colder days, just a tiny little bit. It'll barely come out of the hole. Really fast truck. Blinding conditions. It even threw some pebbles at me. Oh. When it's this cold out, it's sometimes really hard to open the car door because driving through puddles, you know, goes ahead and it sprays all over the doors and it freezes. Just looking around here. That right there is a bunch of beaver debris, probably from the last time we unclogged this culvert. Just doing a check on it. We left the camera here for like 2 weeks back in the summer. Nothing ever happened. See this crack right here is exactly where the culvert is. All right, so by the depth of the water, there might not be anything, but we're gonna go and look at this pipe. Did the beavers build back? Nothing. That means the trapper must have got them, or this is a very not important secondary pond. So 2 weeks they never built back. I assumed it was a secondary pond they didn't really check on. We checked on it after 2 months. Nothing happened. Now it's been like 5 months. Beavers are probably gone from this area. Does anyone know in Maine, is there any type of wild dog or wild cat that changes its fur to pure white in the winter? Because I just saw something that was pure white run into the woods. Wow, water's really deep today. And it looks like it was way deeper. Another big truck. Alright, I just turned onto another road that they do not plow. And by the look of it, this is not going to be a good road either to get down. Yeah, it's just not worth it. I'm going to turn around. I was coming down here because I wanted to check out the old gasoline station tank culverts, or maybe it was just above ground tanks for their diesel fuel. Whatever it was, that's what I wanted to go check out. Those beavers were relocated over a year ago, and all summer during my checks they weren't there. So unless they built back since September, there still shouldn't be a problem. I just wanted to check on it. It's not worth me throwing the chains on, because if I throw the chains on, I'm gonna have to drive 20 miles an hour on a road I can usually drive 50 on. So that would take, I wouldn't get there until like 8 o'clock tonight, and I only have an hour left of daylight. It's about 2:30 in the afternoon. 1 hour, it's gonna be almost dark. So I will come back to this place in the spring. I doubt anything's there. They relocated them. But who knows, another beaver might find it. Alright, I just came from in front of me, but I'm going this way. Am I gonna make it up this steep hill? Yes, I am. There's tons of room on the edge, away from the ice. This is like a gigantic triangular island. When they're logging down where I just came from, this road here would become more dominant, but because they haven't logged down there in a few years, that's why it's kind of grown in. As soon as I get to the top of this large ramp, we're just gonna go right into a main artery again. All right, up at the top of it, right back into a main artery. We'll probably see a lot more trucks. Another big load of logs. Dusty. That looks really pretty with the sun too. Alright everyone, right here where the road is a little bit snow covered, I'm stopping because there won't be a lot of dust if a truck does happen to go by. I need to fill up with fuel. This is why I always bring extra gas cans. I have 5 miles until empty, it says. That's not exactly true. I've never been able to put more than 12 gallons in this car at a time, and it has a 16-gallon tank. It does that for safety reasons, so you don't run out if you cut it too close. So I'm gonna pour gas for a little while. Sometimes it's so hard to get out, the doors are stuck. So cold. When you have a hatchback and you're off-road, dust always finds its way underneath it. Look at that. It also finds its way somehow through the headlights, like the cracks, you know what I mean, where you open it up to change the bulbs. Just look at the difference where the gas can is. It's clean there. I just put 2 gasoline cans in there, and these kind of cans, they're not as easy to pour as those cheaper ones you get at Walmart, but these ones don't smell at all. If they tip over, they don't leak. The key to easily pouring them is pour them slowly. Don't start with them upside down. That's when it has trouble. It goes gulp, gulp. You gotta do it real slow, and it goes pretty nicely. So I just put 10 gallons in. That should give me like a 90% full tank. And I got 2 more cans when I need them. Only 1 truck went by, and I hear another one Jake braking. It'll be here any minute. Okay, I was able to put both of those gas cans in. 1 truck went by. It was a big dump truck, and instead of dust, it threw like pieces of ice all over the place. There's even a culvert here with a good amount of water. But where's it coming from? There's a drainage ditch here. Is it really coming from that? Yep. All clear. See this big mound here? It's coming from, that's an actual stream, not a drainage ditch. Alrighty, taking off. 5 miles until the tank's empty. As soon as I pull forward, alright, now I got 274. So I am missing a good amount. Usually I get 350 if I fill up all the way at a station. Check this out, everyone. If beavers were living here, they must be so angry, and I don't even know if they would survive the winter if this was their pond. You see how the road is all icy? You can tell at one point it was flooding over. I'm gonna pull over here and take a look. They obviously opened the culvert up with an excavator to drain this. I'm afraid I'm gonna rip the seals off the doors. Sometimes they're so hard to open. My passenger door, I literally can't open it. It would take so much strength. I'm afraid I'm gonna rip the handle off. Anyways, you can tell water was going across here, and you can tell this was flooded. You see how the ice is all collapsing here? Whoa, slippery. The whole pond was level right here. It was flooding over the road. Look at this, the water dropped about 3 feet. Oh my gosh. There are beavers living here. That's a very new constructed lodge. Look at the sticks on the top of it. See how it's like new lumber? It's white. Brand new lodge. But on the bright side, I think these beavers will be just fine for the winter. A lot of times when you drain back a pond, the beavers are gonna die because if it's completely drained, they have no protection. They can't swim around to get to their food supply. But I think they might be okay here because you can see there's still many feet of water. And those beavers, if they're smart, it extends down that far. But they did lose 3 feet of their pond. And this was a little while ago because it already froze up right here. Do you see the excavator remove the ice here? It already froze. Got some pretty big pipes. Look at that. And look at this. This was underwater, but yet the excavator operator, they didn't hit them. Not a single piece of damage on these pipes. Wow, amazing work. Look at this. This is kind of dangerous. See this right here? I don't know if that's like going in because it's kind of rusted out or whatnot. Here's downstream. This is very recent. They definitely did this in the past couple days. And look at that, a bunch of debris got shot out the end. This must have been blasting when they opened it with the excavator. Look at that. it was blasting through these trees. You can see those trees are actually a little bit crooked with debris against them. That was some serious current. And look what the excavator got out. See this pile? This whole tree looks like it may have been in there. Oh, maybe that tree, maybe they used that. You know, maybe they looked around, here's a tree I can use. They used the excavator, grabbed it, well, not grabbed it, but put the claw on it, scraped off all the branches, ripped it out of the ground, grabbed it by that, in and out, used it to get and smash the beaver dam out of the way. A lot of times they'll use a timber. That is probably why it's all mangled and looks like that. They probably used the tree to get it out. Yeah, don't stand here. This is being supported by these trees. If you stand here, it could slant and send you right in there. Although a lot of that is really thick. I could probably walk there without falling through. But these beavers must be so angry about this. It's just getting worse and worse. Every time I get out and back in, it's warming up the ice around my door. It's worse and worse. This time, I couldn't even open the door. I could see the handle. It would have snapped if I tried opening it. So I opened the back door, crawled through, and forced it open. I just had to turn around to get another look at this. Seriously, did somebody really do graffiti out here in the middle of nowhere? Someone wrote, "Thank God," over the one-lane bridge sign. Got a nice sunset and a one-lane bridge. Wow, it's so beautiful off this other side. Let me quickly show you. Wow, isn't that beautiful off the bridge? Beautiful, beautiful view.